can those other people let us know? A little bit hard to hear.
You might just need to talk louder.
Sorry, just hold on a sec. No. This.
Okay, is it an echo? Is it... Talk for me, please, Lynette.
Can you let us know if that sound is better? We're glad everybody's joining us today. We're going to talk about taking our school live and how we've taken our school live with Teams live events. I'm Lynette Crichton, and I'm from Brescia House School, which is in Johannesburg, South Africa. And we just give a couple of seconds for anybody else who's waiting to join us. We're so glad that there's 21 people watching us tonight from we're in the evening here. If you can let us know where you're from, be glad to hear you. We're going to use Microsoft Teams and live, and we're going to show you from your ISTE event window the back end. So we're doing something we've never done before. If I'm going to show you in a minute. Just hold on a sec. I've lost this camera. Sorry, just trying to get one of the cameras to work, and so we can see what's happening. I'd like to introduce my fellow presenter, with Kevin Smart. Just need to find where he is. Kevin?
Hello.
I can't see you. So I'm going to send the back end through live, and hopefully they can all see us.
And I'm going to send my camera live here, and then you can see me. Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin Smart, and...
Hold on. Okay, you should be able to see Kevin now.
Okay, and hopefully you've heard me. So I'm Kevin Smart, and we are trying something really crazy tonight. So join us on our journey. We are showing you how to set up a live event. We are doing back-end stuff. We're doing front-end stuff. We're doing everything at the same time. And we are pushing the envelope for ourselves too. So while they're experimenting with you, we're experimenting as well. And we are so excited to have you part of this journey with us. So hopefully you learn a lot. We're learning a lot. And I think that's the joy about all of the stuff, that as you sit in education systems, that it's a continual learning pathway for all of us. So learn with us tonight. It's going to be great, or morning, or wherever you are in the world.
Hold on, Kevin. Hear you. There is a way to spotlight the person speaking so that you can see us at full screen.
So can everybody hear me now?
And it's
Send a video live. It is. Just tell them it's quiet. It is quiet for the first little bit of the video. I'm gonna open it here. Hello, everybody. Hopefully now you can hear me. I can talk you through the process. So I'm taking you slowly, step by step, through the process of setting up vMix. So it can be a virtual camera into a Teams live event and into a YouTube streaming event. So I've added in my integrated camera from my computer. I'm going to just restart both of them. Hello, everybody. Hopefully now you can hear me. I can talk you through the process. So I'm taking you slowly, step by step, through the process of setting up vMix. So it can be a virtual camera into a Teams live event and into a YouTube streaming event. So I've added in my integrated camera from my computer. I've added in my microphone in an audio here, and I'm just going to right click on that and so it can disappear. It's not important, but it's just not me alone in this event. There's a whole other people, so I'm going to add in all my other cameras and I'm going to do that step process quickly. I have a USB camera in here, and I'm going to add that. And you can see Tracy sitting on the couch there for us. And we're going to include a webcam, which is taking a wider angle so we can see a bit more of the room as well. I'm going to add that in. And now we see still Tracy on the couch, but with a lot more space around her. So those are my 3 cameras that I've put in. And what's fantastic is I can then put up any camera at any stage, and I can then send it live, and it can change my scene and do different things and just get different angles of what we're doing here. But I need to add some other inputs too. So the first one I need to add in is a PowerPoint. So I open up my add input again. I go find my PowerPoint, and I add that, and I browse, and I go find the file where it is saved. And it's in go. And once you click OK, it will load the PowerPoint into this event. It does take a while, depending on how big your PowerPoint is. And here is my PowerPoint, now ready to go and to go live. So now I need to add in a video, and we'll put a video, and I'm going to browse. And we have 2 videos lined up here that I want to add into my event today. So I'm going to add the one in. I'm going to add a YouTube video into my recording as well. Go add input, and we go web browser. I'm going to paste the URL up here and say OK. And it will now bring in that URL for me too. I can just pause and I can click in this just as I would any other website. Sometimes you would like to add in a video or something into here to make it a bit better. So what I can do is I can double click on this slide. I can position it to make it a bit smaller. And I can go reset all. And I can also add in layers. So the first layer I want to add in is my integrated camera so everybody can see me. And I'm going to make it smaller and include it at the bottom here. So when we're talking through the PowerPoint, you can still see me and you can see what I'm doing. But now we would like to take this out into Teams and YouTube. So we're going to set up a Teams live event. So I'm going to open up my team. I'm going to go to my calendar, and I'm going to say new live event. I'm going to call this ISTE, taking your school live, and it starts at 6:30 and will end at 7:30. And I can add in as many producers as I want. I just need myself in there for now, so that is fine. I go next, and I want this to be a public link, so anybody with a link can access it. And I want the recording available to attendees after it, with captions on, and I want an engagement report to see who has actually been part of this. And I'm going to schedule that. So there is the link. I'd copy that and I'd send that out to everybody who is going to be part of that. And now I'm going to click join. And we'll open this, and I will need to set up all my various monitors and cameras and mics. So I can join now, and I'll set that up once we're inside the event. I'm going to allow access. So now I'm inside the Teams live event. And once I'm here, I'm going to go set up my cameras, my device settings, and I want to use my vMix camera. And turn my camera on. And at the bottom now you'll see a test pattern, which is not quite nice for everybody to see. So if I go back to my vMix on my second screen, you'll see here at the bottom, there is a button that says external. I now need to click that and once I've clicked that, my camera will be sent as a virtual camera into my Teams live event. I also want to stream this out into YouTube. So to do that, I will go into YouTube account. This is our school's YouTube account. I will then click on create and click on go live. And wait patient for it will come up. And I'll take my stream key from here and I'll use this stream key to set up the vMix as an encoder. Okay, and then I can just click on stream here and it will start sending out whatever is within vMix into YouTube. And you'll see it says connecting streaming software, and that will pop up in a few minutes. So I'm going to minimize that so we can go back to the Team Lives event. You'll see there it is. Lower that, and now I'm back in my Teams event, and I'm going to click on me, and I'm going to put that to get ready, and I'm going to send that live. And when we're ready to start this event, I'm going to click start. But if I look at vMix, and if you have my two screens on, you'll see anything that I send live from vMix will then appear in my Teams live event, and the same with YouTube. It will all change here. YouTube is a bit lagged sometimes, so it takes a bit of time to come across and to change, but it will all change there. So that is how you use vMix as a virtual camera into a Teams live event and to stream to YouTube.
Can you hear me? So what we're doing now is on the ISTE platform, we're going to show you the back of house, which is looking at the Kevin's screen. And then we're going to present, if you watch in YouTube Live or in Teams Live, you can see the front of house event. Okay, I'm going to switch over to that. Kevin, I cannot see that screen. I cannot see that screen. I want to see what it looks like. Yeah. So right now I'm just adding an input so that you can see what the output looks like. This is Kevin right behind, because this is what live events are all about. So he's just adding a different view so that you can see what the live event looks like. I'm going to send Wendy live in the meantime. Okay, Wendy, tell us about Brescia.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Wendy Sautoff, and I'm a grade 6 English teacher at Brescia High School here in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I'm part of our innovation team as well. So I've been asked to just tell you a little bit about our school. We are an independent, all-girls school, Catholic girls' school, and we've got students all the way from K through 12. We have one campus, but within that campus we have 3 sections. We have our foundation phase, which has our K through grade 3 students. Then our intermediate phase, which is our grade 4 through 6 students. And then our high school, which has our grade 7 through 12 students. And our grade 7 through 12 students are split into 2 sections. We have our general education phase, which is grades 7 to 9, and then our further education phase, which is grades 10 through 12. And I think up on the screen at the moment, you're also getting to see our team. So you can see Lyneth, our Head of Innovation and Staff Development and Head of IT Services. And in between everything that she does to innovate, develop, and manage our IT services, she's also currently teaching IT and CAT. And we're now moving on to a number of other slides that we're looking at. The wonderful thing is if you see me sort of looking just off to what is my left of the screen, you can see that I have got a screen down on the floor which is showing me what you're seeing as well. And once they're all happy behind the desks, as it were, I will stop talking. But I think there's still some activity happening there. So as soon as Lyneth's ready, I will hand over to her. And I think she's coming to join me on the sofa.
Couch.
Come and join me on the sofa.
Okay, in South Africa, we still have lots of COVID, so we'll sit a little bit closer together because otherwise we don't fit into the screen.
Yes.
But I'm hoping Kevin's got the ISTE background going. We're going to talk through about what are the best tools for the job. And in the background and in the other feeds, you will have Wendy introduced Kevin and Tracy. They're also part of the innovation team at Brescia School. So the first thing is choose the best tools for the job. So when we talk through our different events, and here comes Kevin, when we talk through our different events, we will tell you that we started small. We started with a webcam. We started with Teams Live when it went first live in South Africa, which was April 2020. We ran our first live event on, I think it was the 3rd of May 2020. Deep in COVID in our country, was in complete lockdown. And from there, we kind of have never looked back. We started with a webcam, and we now have bigger cameras, more computers. So we're going to talk through those things as we talk through the different events that we've run and some ideas. Somebody I did see on the chat asked about a step-by-step guide. Kevin, in the digital tote, we have put a video about vMix, and we put a video about OBS. Kevin made some for you and the video that we created and showed at the beginning of this presentation about how to go live and set it up. We will put that in the tote. Otherwise, you're welcome to tweet any of us and we will send you the link. Brescia does have a YouTube channel, which we'll put there. The first most important thing, Wendy, I'm going to ask you and put you in the hot seat, is preparing your presenters. Because we do everything and we push the envelope all the time. So one of the most important things is the presenters have to be ready for anything. So Wendy, you talk about presenting, and I'm going to go change. Tracy's going to change the slide for us when we're ready.
Oh, wonderful. So yes, that's the first thing you need to be very confident about, is that your the people who are presenting understand that there is a degree of having to do things on the fly. No matter how well prepared you are, the one thing I can guarantee is that technology will challenge you. I'm not going to say that technology will let you down, because that's not the case, but you do need to be prepared for everything. So it does help as well to even have simple things like hand signals, which you share with your presenters so that they know when their mics are on and they don't cough and splatter onto a live event and let everybody know that they've got a frog in their throat or something like that. So simple hand signals can be very helpful, like just wait and a thumbs up, you're live. Simple things like that, I would say, would also help. I also think that you need to make sure that the presenters know what order things are going to be happening in, and try and also pick people on your team who can fill in at a moment's notice, who can be put in the hot seat, who can add that little bit of background noise when you need to actually concentrate on the technology. In other words, it's not just about the presenter. It does take a team to actually deliver the product.
Yes. So I'm sending you, Wendy, to DJ the back end of ISTE with vMix on that side. She had a crash course about sending people live and fading events on that computer off, because we have two. We are streaming live into ISTE on one computer, and Kevin and I are going to talk through some of the presentations that you've been a presenter and a cameraman and what we call DJ. Kevin was the original DJ, Kevin. And the producer in the event. So
yes, I'm going to step past you here.
Tracy's going to change the slide, which I was doing without fading the camera section. So the first place we started was in school assemblies. Yeah. And the first picture, Tracy, is how we started small. So this was in June last year. And if you look carefully, Kevin's going to explain what he's doing on his two screens. And if you look, the headmistress is in the front, and there's a webcam on the tripod behind the green chair, so nobody walks into the webcam. And the teacher, the headmistress, is actually presenting directly, if you look at Kevin's screen, as a presenter into her webcam on the laptop in the picture at the front. So Kevin, go back to the beginning.
Okay, so back to the beginning, it was really, really simple. Firstly, schools in South Africa were completely closed for a long time, as in most parts of the world. And staff were allowed back at school, but the kids weren't. So we had to somehow figure out how we're going to get this out there. And having no experience in all of this, we started with what we had access to at first. And first we had access to Teams. And that's where we started. So we went through Teams live events, and using just that platform with a webcam. Well, take a step before that, we were all sitting at home going into the Teams live event, and then when staff were allowed back at schools, we started using a webcam. Very basic, very simple. We plugged the webcam into Teams, and then each person presented from their various laptops in various parts of the school or in the room, and then everything was just brought into that event. But being us, we wanted to push the envelope, and we wanted to do more.
Yeah, so Tracy's going to go forward. So there's a close-up. So you can see, if you go back one, Tracy, a second. If you go, you can see carefully that what we did was, because Teams has this restriction that you cannot put more than one person on the screen.
Yeah.
So it is a bit tricky. So that's why Kevin's actual web is the webcam, so he could show the view that we were in the school hall, and then the headmistress, she presented using her own webcam and microphone, and we switched between presenters, and that in Teams live event, no extra special software. If you carry on, sorry, the photo's a bit out of focus. I think, Tracy, you can push play on the video. I have no idea if you're going to get the sound now. No. So, oops. You got to go back. It automatically plays. Kevin, you might have to.
Okay. Oh, they're going backwards. Yep.
That's one thing about vMix. It starts automatically playing.
Okay. So
if you go, can you play that video for us?
No. So we'll share that video with you in a little while.
Oh, we'll show you now. So now when we do assemblies, we have a big screen as our in the hall, and that shows the girls what we're outputting, and we actually mix it much like we're doing now, which you could see from the back end of ISTE platform, is that we actually use vMix in the background. So Kevin, before we go on to parents, why did we go to vMix? Because we went to OBS first after Teams to give us more, and then we went to vMix, which is the paid for version.
Yeah. So OBS is a great system. It's a great free open software for anybody to use, and we used it for a long time. I found that with what we needed, it was a bit more limiting. It takes a little bit more knowledge on how to use the system, and it's not always that intuitive. And vMix came recommended to us, and vMix is fantastic because it's easy to use. It's just clickable through. It's quick to train someone else onto vMix. But what vMix does is it allows you to bring in multiple cameras. It allows you to bring in PowerPoint. It allows you to bring in text. It allows you to overlay different images. So if you're watching on YouTube or on the live event at the moment, you'll see that we have the PowerPoint with 2 cameras overlaid onto that image, and that you can bring then into Teams as a virtual camera. So it really just elevated our assemblies into something that was far more than what you could do with just Teams Live. So as an integrated camera into Teams Live, vMix was fantastic. It just really elevated what we were doing.
So in the next picture, this year we ran a Parents Digital Citizenship event. And because though we weren't in lockdown level 5, parents couldn't come to our school. So this we ran in the school hall with a whole panel of presenters of our parents, and we highlighted digital citizenship. And as you can see there, one of the key aspects is you need a few friends. Those are the 2 headmistresses of our school, bravely commandeering the chat, answering questions. It was in a live event. So Kevin, what were some of our most memorable first attempts in learning, otherwise known as fails, when it came to that event? Because there's one very sticky thing we find about all of these, and it's that terrible word, sound.
Yeah. So we made the mistake of plugging in a new microphone we hadn't tested into the system, and that one microphone killed the sound for everything. So we had to quickly, on the fly, troubleshoot. Pretty much like we were battling with the sound earlier on today. You have to troubleshoot and you have to work through it. And one of the biggest things that we learned was to make sure that the event is running live at least 10 to 15 minutes before your event actually starts. So you either have a background image or background music or something like that. So you can fully test the sound in that before your event starts. And even with all those testings, there are still moments when it can go wrong. And the biggest key here is always to stay calm. Not always possible. You might look calm on the outside and frantic on the inside, but the calmer you stay, the easier it is to troubleshoot and get to a solution. And that event ran well in the end, and everything worked.
Trace, if you'd like to change to the picture. So then we also ran a series of webinars for our parents about mental health. And we had guest educational psychologists, psychiatrists, and we ran in the same venue we were here. We ran them 2 or 3 events that the parents could log in to Teams Live, and each presenter had a PowerPoint presentation, and you can see from that, if you look carefully, the camera is not as big as the one we've got now, and we didn't have these wireless mics. So that's how we've changed. So Kevin,
Yep.
will you tell them more about how we've upgraded our cameras and microphones?
So the first thing we did was we looked at what cameras would work specifically for this event. We went and got 4K cameras, so they can take more sound inputs into them. That small camera that you're seeing in the middle of the screen there was literally just a normal home camcorder that we plugged in an external mic onto it. And the problem with that, it picked up every other sound that was around, but it worked just well enough for what we had and what we needed then. So it's about starting with what you have. And Tracy, if you can just go one image back for me again. So I'm giving Tracy a hard time in the back end here, making her flip through all the images here. If you can see a screen there. I had a laptop in front of me and I have the iPad there. One key thing that we learned is always run the event on another device as your audience would be seeing it. And this way we quickly picked up if there was an issue with it, if something wasn't showing properly. And that's kind of how we picked up the sound wasn't working properly with the first video, or it was a bit too small. Having that check, having those friends in the room with you helps you to really develop this whole process very quickly.
And family members work well too. So we have Tracy's family member sitting in the corner watching just to double check and keep giving us the thumbs up as Wendy told us sign that we're still okay and we're on time and you can still see what's happening. That was the first time we did it was quite hair-raising. I'm going to say it worked so well that this year we got roped into 4 mental health talks in the month of October, all live events, which we will tweet out the information when it comes, and you're welcome to join us in our live events. We now actually broadcast live to Teams and YouTube. And why do we do that, Kevin?
What is nice about broadcasting to different platforms is it makes it easier for various different internet connections, people's devices, and sometimes it's easier to connect to YouTube for some people, sometimes it's easier to connect to Teams. And by having 2 platforms that you're streaming to simultaneously, it opens up the platform to far more people to connect to your event and to be involved with what is going on.
So now I'm going to show you the next picture. And this also happened to us at one of our mental health evenings. So when you have external people, and that person on the screen is our PTA chairperson, our Parent Teachers Association chairperson. We had a live parents event, and he was sitting in London, if I remember correctly. And because he didn't have a Teams account, which they've now changed, we couldn't get him in to present. So if you look, I was at home, that's my desk at home, that's my laptop, plus the extra screen and the Teams live you can see. So we zoomed him in, which we've done also with another person. We actually connected him via Zoom and then using the shared desktop with computer sound into Teams Live, he presented into the Teams event via a shared desktop and Zoom, courtesy of Zoom, in the corner. He went live before I managed to spotlight him, which the board finance is the other persons on that screen. And I was too scared to touch anything in case we lost him, and we lost him from presenting. So we've done quite a few parent events. The part we've done so many of, if you'd like to change the slide, is teacher training. Not only teacher training on how to do what we're doing now, but how to do live events, how to do classroom events, how to teach hybrid and remote learning. So Kevin, this was one of our first conferences. It was an Afrikaans conference, and Kevin was all by himself, which we learned was not a good idea. So tell us about the Afrikaans.
So we're part of the independent schools of South Africa, and yearly all the different subjects get together for a big conference where they discuss the examinations for the year, the curriculum for the year, and everything that needs to happen. But as we know, that was all shut down, so we had to find a way to actually do this event. And Brescia and the school decided, let's try doing a live event. And so this was us trying a live event, sending the Afrikaans department into the rest of the country so that all the teachers could participate. But as Lynette was saying earlier, one of our speakers couldn't get into the event. So eventually I was using Google Meets into Teams to present that presenter into the event. It was a great learning experience for us. It was an awesome milestone in the life of the subject, in the life of the school, knowing that we can actually do this and that we can bring people together across the world, just like we're doing with ISTE. For me, that has been a huge eye-opener, is how easy it is to connect people like this. And so that entire conference happened, a 4-hour conference with various speakers, various presentations, all able to present to all the teachers throughout the school, throughout the country.
And because we were in lockdown, only the Brescia staff were at Brescia. So only the Afrikaans department who were running the conference were at Brescia. The conference speakers came in from all around the country into the presenting, to do their presentations. Next up, you will see that we presented from, there's a picture of Kevin presenting that Afrikaans conference, and he used vMix. Then we've presented teacher training in here. There you can see Wendy in the background. In that camera shot, you can see she's got the monitor on the floor, much like we have now. Kevin's laptop. We used to do it on a laptop with a screen, and we've just found that a laptop that has more RAM and more powerful, and as we found out today, the more mics you have, the more USB connections you need. So there we all are in the staff room. Once again, it's our favorite, one of our favorite places to broadcast. There we are from the beginning of this year, where once again schools were shut down, and that's in one of the classrooms, the high school IT classroom. And that's one thing that we did have that choice of putting fixed cameras and right up front. Do you remember, Kevin?
Yeah.
And we decided that actually a fixed camera in a hall restricted us too much. So everything we have with a bit of labor will move, and we can go anywhere. So that's a classroom. We've presented quite a few from Tracy and Kevin's office. So this is their office. There you can see Wendy, and actually Wendy was being Tracy was presenting and at the desk, and Wendy was contributing to the OneNote, if I remember correctly, Wendy. And we did, because we do a series of teach meets, and that presentation, Tracy was teaching people of how to use OneNote and how to set up a OneNote for class OneNote, and that was in her classroom. And if you go forward, Tracy, you can see Kevin, DJ Kevin, outside the door, cables everywhere, water cooler. There you've got 2 laptops and a computer. I think you were just having this computer in the screen in the computer then. There you can see his iPad, and if you look carefully, he's got an earpiece in his other ear, which is his phone sound to check the sound. Okay, this is, we have a whole innovation team. Kevin, maybe you can explain what those 2 computers, so the one on the right is YouTube, and the one on the left is Teams Live.
So as you said, you always need a team of people to do this. So
not always, because we've done it by ourselves.
Yeah, it works much better.
Easier if there's more than one of you.
much easier. So the one laptop was running the chat on YouTube, and the other laptop was running the chat on Teams. And just very much like we have Wendy running the chat for us tonight, which I hope she really is doing. I got thumbs up, the hand signals are working.
Double thumbs up.
So you really do need just various devices as well to run the different chats. It does make it difficult to run it on just one device. So that's it. And with us being the Innovation Committee, so it's a group of staff members at our school who have decided that we are going to push the envelope. We are going to innovate. And so we run various trainings, we run various activities, and we all come in and help with each other. And here we have Wendy and another staff member, Janine, from our maths department, presenting as well. And here you can see the 2 bigger cameras again that we've been using. And it really just adds in so much diversity when you have many staff members on board. And I think the way to start this is to find the staff members in your school that are the champions, that are excited about this, and get them on board and really talk about how you and your school can make this something that works for you.
So there you can't quite see, but there's Kevin and Tracy behind him, and you can see how many devices eventually have it on. Laptop, the iPad, and the desktop, the streaming desktop. Then we did I didn't put the picture in, Kevin, but just talk through the event that the kids did, because we had kids that ran a live event.
So our final year girls, so our grade 12 girls, decided to do a virtual event with children from other schools. So they want to do a talent show. And one thing that our young people have really missed is that connection of interacting with other people. So they decided that they were going to run a whole virtual talent show through YouTube. So they got various groups together from different schools to perform something, and that was all put together and then sent out over YouTube so that all the different schools could partake in it. And we have had such good positive feedback from that event, and the girls loved it. And it was completely run by the girls. We showed them how the equipment worked, we helped them set it up, and then as staff members, we stepped back and we allowed them to do it. To the point where our headmistress even sent me home. I wasn't allowed to be at school because the girls had to run it. So I got the evening off. But they took it, and they took the initiative because they'd seen what we've been doing here. And that is it. I think the platform of schools is changing. And I know a lot of the equipment that we have may look over the top and unattainable, unreachable for your school. But bearing in mind, we've gone back. You can go right back to what we did in the beginning with just very simple equipment. Tonight, we're using 2 webcams, and the quality from the webcams is just as great. So don't feel intimidated by the bigger equipment. Start with what you have, and there's a lot of free resources out there that can help you with this process, and free software.
So the other thing we've done is we've done church services, being a girls' Catholic school. We've actually helped the church next door to us run through live events, but that was our first one, our first children's liturgy. And if you look at the picture, you can see there is the same webcam, the same tripod that is in the background of our shots here that we're using tonight. That's my laptop. I might tell you that that was run all on Wi-Fi, because when we'd gone live, I looked down and went, we never plugged the network cable in. Do you remember, Kevin?
Yeah. So it was very, very hair-raising.
Yeah, so we have done it on Wi-Fi. Yeah. Kevin has done, and Tracy and Wendy have even taken, the primary school headmistress has done, there she was doing her assembly from the chapel, but she's even been in the gardens to have her assembly. And there you run it on Wi-Fi too. And you can see that the camera's changed because there's about 6 months time difference between the first children's liturgy and then the primary school headmistress doing her assembly in that. So, Tracy, yeah. So we'd like to just, I think that we have about 5 or so minutes left. So I'm going to ask Wendy to tell us if there were any questions out there, and I'm going to trade places and go back to the ISTE background, and we're going to look at you there, or Kevin's going to stay here, so I'm going to read. Wendy, are there any questions?
There are. In fact, the one that probably would be most useful for you to answer. Jeremy wanted to know why you decided upon using vMix rather than something like StreamYard. I said, to be honest, we were all kind of thrown in the deep end a bit when schools were closed, but Kevin could give a bit of background as to why you chose vMix rather than anything else.
So the reason I chose it was recommended vMix. I played around, and I found that the interface of vMix was really, really simple, and that it was easier for people to learn vMix. Although I used OBS for a long time, I found it was sometimes a bit difficult to use, and not always as intuitive as what vMix could be. And I like the functionality of vMix and the things I could add into vMix, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Kevin. The other question was, somebody asked if you could briefly show what you did with OBS, and it might just be worthwhile explaining to people again what the difference is between OBS and vMix, so that there's, you could explain why it might look the same or different. And also, Kevin, Jeremy said he couldn't quite hear your response. Your mic seems a bit fuzzy.
So, Jeremy, just get back to your response. I just found the interface of vMix really, really simple. And it came highly recommended to us from a couple of our suppliers. And when I started playing around with it, I found it was easy for other people to use. So when did they want, I did put in a video on OBS and to show you how that interface works too. OBS just takes a little bit more thought and it's a little bit harder to use, I find, than vMix, but that was just a personal preference. And I see that from last time when I used OBS to now when I had to reinstall it for this event tonight, that they have done a lot of updates, so it is getting better too. And I found that vMix just kept up to date a bit more than OBS did at that stage.
Thanks, Kevin. At this point, there aren't any more questions in the chat. I don't know if anybody has something that they've suddenly thought about, if they were wondering about some of the things we've done, some of the traumas. And I think unless anybody's got anything more, one thing I wanted to say is I think, Lynette, the point you made about first attempt in learning is one that's worth repeating again and again.
Yes, so one thing we've learned for sure is that don't worry if it doesn't work. You can try again and find the right thing that works for you. And don't be scared to try new things and find out what works best. It's not necessarily about expensive equipment. It's more about finding out exactly what you need to know and what you're trying to achieve, and then using what equipment you have to achieve that goal. We've done it from home with simple webcams and computers, Google Meets and Zoom, but all into Microsoft Teams live events. So we're all available. Tracy's going to pop it back up. We're all available on Twitter, and you can reach out to any of us, and we'd love to hear from you and hear what you do, and we would love to share. And if you have any more questions, please reach out to us on Twitter and let us know what you've done in your schools. Kevin, you want to say a last word?
And that's okay. And then the amount of times that you said, it's like, wow, that young people that we teach to try, and if they fail, you get up and do it again. And often as teachers, we are too afraid to do that. I'm really encouraging you to try.
So Tracy's going to play our Microsoft Showcase video, I think is the one she's going to play on the Thank you very much.
This past year has truly been a year with a difference. As a Microsoft Showcase school, we transitioned into remote teaching and learning quite easily as we were familiar with some of the tools. However, lockdown made us accelerate our transitioning in a very short space of time. Teachers had to relook at their lesson plans and assessments and adapt these to the completely different online format. It was hard work from that point of view, but we are grateful that we already had a familiar platform with which to do this. So it wasn't a case of deciding what platform to use first and then risk having different teachers using different platforms. It was definitely easier for pupils to access everything regardless of their subjects, as it was the same for all.
integrated Office 365, taken Teams as a learning platform across the school from grade 0 to grade 12. We've used Flipgrid, we've used PowerPoint, we've used forms for assessments, we've used Minecraft, so many variety of things to really integrate our school into a showcase school category.
It hasn't been without its challenges, you must admit.
No, it's been difficult.
One of the interesting challenges we needed to consider was assessments. How do we ensure that authentic and valid assessments are being done when pupils are learning online? So we've learnt a lot. Teachers have had to be very creative in designing assessments that require students to individually show their learning and understanding. Another challenge is ensuring everyone in the class is engaged. In online teaching, one misses out on the classroom energy of a group of pupils and on the body language of individuals, which is often a sign of whether they are engaged or not. So teachers have had to be very creative in the way they interact with pupils across the screen and ensure that everyone is involved and has a turn to either ask or answer questions. But as is always the case, with every challenge comes an opportunity. So we have certainly been challenged, and we have certainly found many opportunities to meet these challenges.
When reflecting back over the years that Brescia High School has been a Microsoft Showcase school, I believe that our teachers and girls have gained a great deal by being part of this global community. Our teachers and I have benefited by being able to share in many enriching experiences with the Microsoft educational team, whether at conferences, forums, or ED2 days. Our thanks as a school go to the Microsoft team for their willingness to actively enable thousands of educators around the world in this format.
Our next step is to take the learning from this experience and consolidate it in our school's education transformation. So we need to look at what has worked really well and what we want to hold on to. The way we teach now in a hybrid model of education, where some pupils are on site while others are online at the same time, is challenging, but it has also created opportunities for us to reimagine our offering in the near future.
And don't forget our commitment to want to give back to other teachers, and our commitment as a school to want to continue training others, to share what we have learned, and to grow our network and our community. And hopefully in the next year, we'll be able to run many training events that reach to others throughout our country.